Hello, everyone. How are you? I think we have a bit small delay because there is a delay in the other session, but I think more people will be coming as we're starting. Let me mention from the start that the presentations and all the event, the 2 hours event, will take place in English because we are a Norwegian company and because there are no Greek-speaking people among us. But I'm sure that we will all understand everything we will say. It's very nice to see you all here. Most of you already know, maybe all. And it's a good opportunity that we, with this chance we have, we will inform you about who we are, what we do, and how we want to impact the sector. Some key people from Planktonic are not here, but a few of us are. Our chairman, Erlend Sodal, is with us. So we will today we will the agenda is we will start with a short video that will explain few things about Planktonic and how we do what we do and what is the impact. And then there will be 4 presentations. The first is going to be mine. My name is Antonio Colli. I am the commercial director of Planktonic. And I will speak that my presentation will be a kind of continuation of the video, getting a little bit more in depth of what we'll see in the video. Then we will hear Dr. Niels Stokle. Niels is the CTO of Planktonic and also one of the founders of the company. Then we will hear Kostas Jakris. Kostas is the technical manager of Planktonic. He's the person that is following all the trials, R&D, and new applications to companies or following up with applications from customers. Either with physical presence or there is a small problem here, or through distant support. So Kostas will speak a bit more, will share some figures with you from all around the world, from different species, so you can see how we impact the whole sector globally. And then Katerina Luffy, Dr. Katerina Luffy will, that is not from Planktonic. She's a scientist from the University of Torino. And Katerina will explain how the larvae nutrition is impacting the fish. So let's start from the video.
A fast-growing world population will lead to a surge in demand for seafood. Aquaculture is expected to play a crucial role in covering these needs, creating a need for products that improve productivity and support sustainable growth. Planktonic provides new tools to support these efforts by combining new technology with a deep understanding of nature itself.
Cryoplankton is a live feed for marine aquaculture, where the prey is first-stage nauplii from specific species of barnacles. This is a natural feed for marine larvae and has a superior nutritional value that will give the fish or crustacean an optimal start in life. By using cryopreservation technology, we have found a way to preserve and store these nauplii with all the nutritional benefits intact. Hatcheries can now outsource their live feed production and take the live feeds right off the shelves when they need it. And there is no need for enrichments.
Planktonic's evolution is built on a decade of highly advanced research and development, bringing to the industry a responsible and advanced feed solution, supported by knowledge and evidence.
We have developed a farming system that allows us to cultivate specific species of barnacles at specific areas, giving us full control of the raw material we use when producing cryoplankton. Through the years, we have refined an automatic production line to carefully remove the eggs from the barnacles, paying careful attention to the biosecurity aspects and the revitalization efficiency to ensure a consistent and safe product for the hatchery. After the cryopreservation process, the live feed is stored in dewars with liquid nitrogen to fill and preserve its value until fed any time in the future.
Ordering and delivery of the live feed is easy. The frozen naupli is shipped in devers to the customers in due time for the first feeding. Daily preparation takes only a few minutes, saving labor time, avoiding complexity, and providing consistency.
Planktonic has developed a unique technology with the potential to positively affect the whole value chain of the hatchery, and indeed the full aquaculture operations. Being aware of our customers' expectations, we aim to support production of new species as well as improving the techniques applied in industrially produced species. We share common goals with our customers, their targets, and we will work continuously to deliver them together.
Planktonic is Northern Europe's leading and progressive provider of live feed solutions. Our mission is to make life easier, offering products and services that bring consistency, nutritional quality, and increased biosecurity to the aquaculture industry throughout the world.
Our plan is to expand and develop significantly the coming years, including establishment of new farms and increased production capacity, both in Norway and abroad, and launch new products and services based on our unique and patented technology. Innovation is part of our DNA. We are driven by the motivation to make life easier at the hatcheries and working closely with our partners to improve their operations, both profitably and sustainably.
Planktonic represents the new era of industrial aquaculture. With our innovative technology and passionate people, we truly believe we can help our industry make a change for the better. A fast-growing world population will lead to a surge in demand for seafood.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. I will continue with my presentation that will explain a little bit more of what we saw in the video. And I will talk about aquaculture revolution. So in Planktonic, we produce cryoplankton that we are certain that will make you succeed your targets. And we feel like we understand your targets, being part of the same society. And you will do that by using the most advanced technology. We believe that we have developed the world's best, but also easiest live feed. We will explain why. It comes from a very important aspect is that it comes from an abundant and sustainable marine resource that is the barnacles. So barnacles we can find all around the world. There is no limitation in the availability and will never be. So somebody asked me at some point if something will happen, and I replied that if something will happen, probably humanity will die well before the barnacles. And through years of R&D, we have developed the technology of extracting the nuclei of the barnacles and cryopreserving them to offer them to the customers easy to use, ready to be used. Planktonic has a global reach. So we are present in 26 different countries today, 4 different continents. 18 of those countries are outside European Union. So it's clear that Planktonic is scaling beyond the borders already. A few years back, we were working with, Planktonic was working with few species and smaller scale. But the last quite few years now, we have been accumulating more and more experience, more and more practical applications. So today we have accumulated work with 26 different species. So we have proved that our solution is not so species dependent. And we continue. So only in 25-26, this production season, we will be running 23 new applications and trials, accumulating more experience, more proof of concept. And in total, we have been supplying more than 100 tons of product. That is very concentrated, so this quantity is quite a lot to well prove from the industry now that we are in many markets already an established solution. Definitely, we're talking about a large-scale application throughout marine species. So here is where around the world we are active, from Norway, all around the world, as we say. Recently, we focus more on the Mediterranean area. We are establishing, as we speak, our office in Turkey. A hub in Athens and a hub in Spain will come up in order to focus more in the Mediterranean area. We always work directly with the market, closer to our customers, but there are some exceptions, like in Japan, where we work with 2 very nice local distributors, very efficient companies. But I will try to explain to you a little bit more what we do. So barnacles, they will settle naturally on substrate that we provide in our farms. We have 7 farms in Norway, but we also harvest from specific fjords. And we do expand our farms and our infrastructure and organization in the production, so we secure that the availability for the upcoming years, 5, 10 years, 15 years, because we predict a very large growth. So we will secure well in advance all the availability. So we harvest the adult barnacles from those farms and areas prior to their natural spawning, when at that time they are full of eggs. And we bring them to the factory in Trondheim. This is a totally 100% natural and sustainable process. In the factory, we have developed the methodology to extract the eggs that at that time become larvae from the adult barnacles. And then we cryopreserve them and we store them in dewars with liquid nitrogen, and we ship the dewars to the different companies all around the world, where the people will have to take out the product and within 15-20 minutes just wash it and prepare it, and it comes to life. So produced in Norway, shipped all around the world, cryopreserved, stored in liquid nitrogen, stored indefinitely, indefinitely, so there is no expiration. Basically, you can keep the product for as long as you like until you get the larvae to feed them. If you don't have the larvae, you don't need to do anything, you just keep them there. And they are revitalized. From the minus 196 degrees, they come to life and they're ready to be used. So these are our products. The cornerstone is Cryo-L. This is the offspring of the species Semibalanus balanoides. The size is 320 microns length and 150 microns width. Several species like sea bass, some Seriola species, Migger, can start eating Cryo-L right from the beginning, making the protocol very straightforward. But some producers would like to start a couple of days earlier, or other species have smaller mouths, so then we have another product, Cryo-S, Cryo-Small, that comes from another species that we are culturing, Balanus crenatus, and the length is 200 microns and the width 100 microns. And if you want to start even earlier, or you want to culture species with even smaller mouth size, then we have Cryo-Micro. This is planktonic eggs with excellent nutritional value, stored in minus 20 degrees, just a freezer, for up to 1 year, additionally cleaned and disinfected. And this is only 70 microns. So with all these products, we are able to cover all the size range for all the marine species, all the species, according to the preferences of each producer, different protocols, different approaches. And we continue to develop, and we will come up with even more tools, more solutions, more products to further help the producers to adjust the protocol as they wish. What is our value proposition? The value proposition, first of all, stands on the fact that we offer the natural live feed. As it is the natural live feed, it does have the optimal nutritional value. Very balanced in proteins, lipids, marine HUFAs, very high in phospholipids, pigments and vitamins, tailored for marine larvae and crustaceans by the nature already. Then it is the biosecurity, the biosafety. We have screened all the batches we have produced, and we have never found any pathogens. This makes sense because, as I explained, we use the eggs from the barnacles, from the other barnacles, so when those are in the sea, they are never in contact with the seawater, so they cannot be affected. And then during the production process, filtrating and processing and eventually using chemicals and disinfectants, finally the result is that we are totally certifying that the product is totally biosafe, in contrast with what we know from the traditional live feeds, where quite often we see different microbial challenges. Easy to use, is an off-the-shelf solution. You don't need any cultivation, you just need 15-20 minutes to prepare it. This is magic for the production, for the industry. We all know that a few years back, companies had large algae rooms producing their own algae in the facility. The rotiferums were larger, more complex. Artemia were even decapsulating the Artemia. Nowadays, the algae cultures have been replaced by algae pastes. The rotifers have been more compact. The Artemia has been a little bit more automated, and a lot of top quality live feed has been replacing the live feed already. We believe it has already started, as we see in different places, in different companies, that the process will be very lean. In one box, the people will have top quality dry feed, and in one dewar, they will have their top quality live feed. Straightforward, efficient industrial protocol. All this, and mainly the nutritional value, leads to improved economics, lower mortality. We have proved that. Better FCR, we have proved that throughout the value chain until harvesting. Higher growth rates. Imagine the reduction on the costs in the cages. We have proved that. We have proved the potential. And all this leads to stronger economics across the value chain. What is the impact in the biology? We know that many companies today, they run breeding programs and improving the potential of the fish. But then we need to ask ourselves, do we grasp the potential of the fish 100% during the production process? Or we are missing some of it? We have proved the potential to have stronger fish. And we have done that by measuring in different trials, in different applications, different species, lower mortality throughout the life of the fish in the hatchery, but also in the cages. We have been running stress tests, and we see that the fish are stronger. They don't die as easily as the fish that are fed initially with the traditional live feeds. We have proved the potential to produce, to achieve higher survival rates across new species, but also established species. So for new species, we have examples where survival was 3-5%, and the business was not viable, and then we increased it to 15-20%, and then we made it a business viable case. For established species, we have been working with bass and bream, with efficiency, with survival rates up to 70-75%, and we were there, and right from the beginning, we achieved those survival rates, and we even exceeded them. So, intensive system, we can provide benefits. Less intensive system, the same. Faster growth, both in the fry and in the grow out. You will see some impressive figures later on in the next presentations. And we can understand the economic benefits based on that. And the better development, starting from the gut health, ending to the reduced deformities. The deformities, that is a very high additional cost for the operations, for the producers in the hatcheries, but also expressed to some degree even in the growing and even in the packing station. What do we do in the hatchery? We free up space, because you don't need all these rooms to produce so intensively algae and rotifers and so on. And this space can be used to create labs, maybe even install tanks to increase your production, the capacity of your hatchery without investing capex, increase the capacity without serious investments. Definitely you can save from your capex. Eventually, you will also save from your OPEX when you will optimize your protocols, and when the live feed, the traditional live feed, will phase out, we believe that you may even be producing at with a lower OPEX. For new species, this is a straightforward solution. We have proved that in the industry. We have been helping a lot of companies. But also for new facilities, where those can be more simple without all these additional rooms to produce in the same facility the traditional live feed. But how? Let's see how we help the whole value chain, from broodstock to harvesting to the processing plant. We all know that we are trying in the hatcheries to feed the broodstock with the best possible dry feed with the additional nutrients, in order to secure that the larvae, the first days where they struggle to digest maybe or to absorb the nutrients, or the nutrients are not present enough, we are trying to pass these nutrients through the yolk sac. Now, from our side, we do supply the larvae right from the beginning with a feed that is very easily digested, very rich in the nutrients, exactly what the larvae need. So you release some of the pressure from the nutrition of the brooster, or you maximize the potential from that nutrition. During the first feeding, where we actually apply cryoplankton, due to the top nutrition, we see all the KPIs, survival, development, early growth, lower stress, robustness, to be improved, improving your economics, your productivity in the hatchery. Of course, the biosecurity, reducing the risk. The risk factor is very important because we see groups, batches that go very well, but we do see batches that reduce a lot the average output per year of a hatchery. And finally, easy to use. This is a very important factor because is removing the human factor, the human error, increases the predictability. Of course, the humans, with the value they have and the experience, can focus and dedicate their value to the larvae, to other departments, and take the job further, improve it. And eventually, we end up to the nursery with stronger and better developed juveniles, with lower deformities, improved robustness, increased robustness, so we secure we will not lose fish during the nursery. Better growth, that means that we can send the fish to the cages faster and maybe restock those tanks. We know many hatcheries that have this bottleneck in the nursery, they don't have enough tanks. Or send them larger and give a better start in the cages. And with a better standard deviation. And that will help the reduction of the stress and the better growth of the population as a whole. And let's come to the on-growing, where most of the expenses are taking place. Here, we provide stronger and better developed adults, where we have measured clearly. We will present to you some very clear cases, but always we see that more or less better growth. And here we understand how much this will affect the economics. Lower FCR. We can understand that for large groups, this will cause many millions of saving. Lower deformities. Some of the deformities will be removed in the nursery, but there are still some deformities that need to be removed later on. Robustness, so to avoid to lose fish at high average weights, we have documented that. We have proved that also. And better standard deviation, where the population will not have these small, underdeveloped fish, these losers that create stress in the population and suppresses the average FCR and the growth. This is where we have the highest impact, economic impact. And finally, during the processing plan, ending up with very nice, healthy fish, no small fish that would be disposed when we have already accumulated all the costs. So some of the companies may see themselves in one stage more or in the other. In some aspects, some companies may say, well, I don't have very high deformities, or I don't lose so many fish in the nursery, or my cages are very well protected and so on. But some others will see themselves here in this scheme. And even if some of those aspects will give a significant benefit to the producers, that will translate into thousands, millions of euros. This is what should be taking the companies ahead. And we have proved, this is the main message, that all these are related to a great extent to the first feeding of the fish, of the larvae in the hatchery. You don't try to save the quality of the milk from a human baby. You don't know what will happen during the life, but you want to give to the human baby the best tools, the best potential during the whole life. Talking about economics, some people will understand very well these figures, and looking at some average numbers here. The cost of the fry, looking at the breakdown of the cost in the cages, is about 11%. In some companies, it may be 9%, in some companies, it may be 14%. About 60% is the cost of the dry feed, and the rest is labor, energy, and so on. But if you take and you analyze the cost of the fry, you will see that a lot of it is labor cost, energy, depreciation, and several others, and the cost of the total live feed is about 12%. What does it take? Where does it take this? If you look at the next graph, we clearly see that the cost of the total live feed is only 1% throughout the value chain. But this 1% is able to impact more or less the 99%. So this explains us in financial terms why we should focus at these initial stages. And we have analyzed thousands of data to see the impact from another perspective. Sea bream, cod, Balaras, Seriola species, and we see that we have also analyzed different scenarios based on the results that we receive from the academia, but also the industry, applications in companies. So here we will see the low impact scenario. We want to be conservative. So we don't want to create over enthusiasm to the people so they will be discouraged because they may need to try 2-3 times until they achieve the benefits. And we know that to produce 1 million juveniles, you need about 13 cents, so about almost 130,000 euros. Then the incremental cost for the cryoplankton is absolutely negligible. We believe that when companies will optimize their protocol, will be zero or close to zero. And then when you start experiencing the benefits from the lower deformities, the better growth, the better survival, the stronger fish, finally you are expecting to save a lot of money per million juveniles at the low impact scenario. You will see figures in the next presentations that can create much higher expectations. When we take these fish to the cages, to produce 1 kilo of fish, we will spend more than 4.5, 4.6 euros per kilo on average. The cost of the cryoplankton is zero comparatively to this. And then improving the long-term growth, you will see some figures again, the potential. Improving the FCR, that is 60%, the robustness, you will end up with a saving per kilo that if you relate it to this percentage, the 11% of the total cost in the cages, this is almost the whole cost of the juveniles used to produce these kilos in the sea. So in a very competitive environment in the Mediterranean species, we need to choose if we will use the old way or the new way. If we want to move ahead, follow the new technologies, the new applications, established applications around the world, and be more competitive, more successful. Secure us both in the good times and the difficult times. And we will be here to help you. This is Planktonic. Thank you. here. Should be here. This one. So nice to see you all here. So my talk will be about nutritional quality in cryoplankton and the long-term impact on the fish from you start to feed. Try to interpret what's the reason behind this impact. It's not responding here, Antonio. Could you help me? So, you can just use the wheel. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the challenge, the early larval nutrition. So marine fish larvae, they are evolutionary adapted to natural plankton, like the barnacle nauplii, but also copepods. And copepods and barnacle nauplii, they are almost identical in biochemical composition. So the big difference here is that you have a lot of the PUFAs, they are stored in phospholipids. It's typical that you have more than 80% polar lipids in cryoplankton and natural plankton in general. While in enriched rotifers and Artemia, it's more 30, 40, 50%, and the remaining are storage lipids, because you cannot enrich rotifers and Artemia and channel the PUFAs into the phospholipids. They store them in the triglycerides. And those are not so easy to exploit from the fish larvae. The rotifers are also low in taurine. We'll talk a little bit about sphingomyelin in the coming slides. So the problem with triglycerides, as you see, the cryoplankton and other natural plankton, the fish larvae can use the phospholipids directly into their membranes. And as said, there are more than 80% of those phospholipids in cryoplankton. In the rotifers, where the main fraction is triglycerides, you have these oil droplets, which are not so easy to exploit. So the fish larvae have a more complex route to channel those PUFAs into their own membranes. And the most is energy here, and it's a McDonald's diet for the fish larvae, while the cryoplankton builds the fish larvae in a correct way. So that's we think that's the main reason you get so huge impact on the fish on the later stages. But there are also other things that could be very important. We have done an in-depth analysis of cryoplankton, and it's quite rich in a lipid class called sphingomyelin. It's quite well studied in mammals, and it's rich in breast milk, and it gives better gut, neural development, and other things, very important for premature babies. And you have 10% about of the sphingomyelin in cryoplankton, but also in copepods and other crustacean plankton. So we think that it has a role for the fish larvae. It must have, because the fish larvae are evolutionarily adapted to prey upon this. And when you have this high amount, 10% of the lipid classes that are this type of lipid, then it have to be a role. And this is very poor in rotifers and Artemia.
We have seen, for instance, it's not many studies, it's almost zero studies on this sphingomyelin and fish larvae and in fish aquaculture. But for mammals, it's a lot. But I found one study on Artemia-fed halibut. Before it was fed halibut, it had a high proportion of sphingomyelin in its flesh, while on the line when they were feeding Artemia, it was reduced and reduced. So we think that if the halibut were fed natural plankton, it would sustain this type of lipid class, which is probably very important for the fish larvae. And yeah, it's a high percentage in all our products of this type of live feed, and Artemia, as you see, it's about 0.5%. So I'm just explaining you now what's different from our diet and rotifers and Artemia, and it's this could be one explanation among other factors. And then I was I've read this article, Jensen et al. 2019, about the furan fatty acids and the importance of furan fatty acids. They have been studying lipids from different sources all over the world and found that the more they were processed, the less furan fatty acids you found. And this is not so well studied in aquaculture either. So it's a natural antioxidant that protects the PFAS like DHA and EPA. So they are scavengers. When you oxidize those before you oxidize the EPA and DHA. And as you are enriching rotifers and Artemia with lipids that come from fish oil, for instance, that is quite processed and oxidized. And this, in this study, Jensen et al., they saw that it's a paradox of omega-3. People that are taking capsules, they don't get the same health benefits as people that eat fish, because in fish it's intact, and in cryoplankton it's intact. But in rotifers and Artemia, which are enriched with the lipids from the industry, it's already oxidized. So you don't get the same effect, and it's not protected, and it has not the same function. But then you have other components as well, which are important. You have taurine, which are important for several functions in the fish larvae. In cryoplankton, it's about 35 micromole per gram dry weight. It's same as copepods about. It varies a little bit, but it's high enough. In rotifers, it's very low, and it's very difficult to enrich rotifers with taurine as it's water soluble. Blue mussel eggs, which are in the cryomicro, have a little bit less, 16 micromole per gram, but still 20 times more than rotifers. So it's still a lot. And then you have other minerals, iodine, 10 times, or it's about 100 times higher than rotifers. You have zinc, higher, iron in optimal levels, manganese, higher than in rotifers. And it's a study from 2023, Etayo et al. That studied cryoplankton versus rotifers and Artemia. They were feeding cleaner fish in Norway. And they saw a huge impact on the immune system because they analyzed the T cells, they analyzed the thymoid organ that are important for the immune system, and they saw a major difference. And they think maybe it could be iod or the other components here, the zinc, iodine. It could be the fatty acids, which are bound to phospholipids. It could be many different things that cause this better immune system. But it's documented, and you can read more about this if you are interested. find it on easily, this publication. So then we know that there are some differences in cryoplankton from rotifers and Artemia. So what does it mean for the fish on later stages? So we have done quite some studies on the gut health. And we see that fish generally get a longer willy, greater villus surface area. They get more goblet cells, which are important for the gut, for protecting the gut, but also probably for digesting the foods. This was from a sea bream trial at HCMR, which Kostas will talk more about. We did some histology on that. Katarina, you were the one that interpreted this data, but you have done a lot more than this for us. And we have seen it for sea bass. We have also for ballan wrasse. That was a different study from SINTEF in Norway. You analyzed cod for us, and we saw the same pattern. Generally better development of the gut. And we saw a better liver development in all these studies, and the gills are also better developed. So this is also important for assimilation of feeds. This is maybe one of the reasons why you get a better long-term impact. That the fish, when it's in the cages, it still have those benefits and can assimilate dry feeds and have a better FCR. So we think it's very likely and logical that you get this effect, and of course you get a huge economical impact of that as well. Then we see that we have some studies. We have our own studies on the long-term impact, but we have also other studies studying natural plankton and see the same impact. And we have feedback from customers telling us that they see better performance in the cages or in the tanks if they are doing land-based aquaculture. So I think, Kostas, you will talk more about the trials, long-term trials on sea bass and sea bream, but those were followed for 1 year. And we saw better growth in the sea cages, better FCR, 7% better FCR for the sea bream. Sea bass at Ifremer in France. But we also have a supporting evidence from a study from Nofima, a Norwegian Research Institute that studied cod with the natural plankton. That was a huge study. It was published in 2016. They saw the same, followed the fish for 2 years in cages and saw huge impact later. But then we have the same feedback from customers, so that is important. They see the same. For instance, cod. We have a cod producer in Norway that they switched to cryoplankton, and then they saw better performance in the nursery, higher survival, better robustness, but they also saw when they released the fish into the cages that they were growing better. So could it be a coincidence, or was it something valid? But they think it's a valid thing because they have seen it several times now. It's consistent that they see a better performance in the cages and less deformities as well in the cages. So that is one observation, and then you have sea bass, sea bream, of course, which we have some experience from, and then you have Seriola species. We also have one Seriola customer that told us that they generally saw a better growth rate in the tanks, in the on-growing tanks, when they switched to cryo. So they don't dare to switch back to rotifers because they think that this could have an impact. And when you see the scientific results, it's not strange that you see it in industry as well. And then you have Ballan-Rass, which are also quite well studied. We have all Ballan-Rass customers in Norway have experience, several years experience from that. And Mowi, which is the largest salmon producer in the world, they use Ballan-Rass as a cleaner fish to clean salmon lice in cages. And they used rotifers and Artemia, but now they are completely on cryoplankton. They don't have rotifers, they don't have Artemia. And the feedback is that the Ballan-Rass, they were growing much faster on a long-term basis. So they could release the fish in the cages much, much earlier. And they were much more robust. So it was a need for a type of prey like this for Ballan-Rass. And then you have an extreme example. That's the spotted wolfish. When they switched to cryoplankton, they saw 100% higher growth rate before slaughtering. Before it took like 6 years before they could slaughter, because this is a cold water species, 6-degree water. Now they can slaughter it at 3-year-old. But they didn't use live feed, they used dry feed, so we compare with the dry feeds. But anyway, that shows that when you are using something bad as a live feed, switch to something good, then you get a huge impact. And that's the same when you switch from rotifers and Artemia to cryoplankton. You get huge impact, not 100% like this, but that is an extreme example. So going more into detail into this Nofima study, where they used natural plankton and compared with Artemia, rotifers and Artemia, they saw good results on all levels in the hatchery phase, with better daily growth rate, as you see, more persistent size when cod were fed natural plankton. They kept it in the sea cages for 2 years, and the one that were fed natural plankton, that was 10% larger, and they had a better FCR as well, the same as we got for sea bream at HCMR. So it's the same. They had a lower liver index on the cod fed natural plankton, and that is a wanted thing for cod because it produces too large liver, and you want it to put it in the flesh, not in the liver. And then they also had less gonads in the one that were fed natural plankton, saying something about that the maturity was maybe a little bit delayed, so you are putting more energy into the fish flesh and not the gonads. So if you are looking head to head here, rotifers, Artemia and cryoplankton, you have the PUFAs like DHA and EPA. They are packed in phospholipids, which are more than 80% in cryoplankton. In rotifers, Artemia, it's mainly in the storage lipids, and then it becomes like the McDonald's diet, as you saw. And then the availability to the larvae are much better when vitamins, for instance, are bound to phospholipids. It's more easier exploited. And then you have the sphingomyelin. It's questionable, the effect on the larvae, but it's logical when you see that natural plankton in general have like 10% of that lipid class. It should have it should be a reason for that. And then you have taurine, much higher than rotifers, and furan fatty acids, which we know are more intact in unprocessed fat. and the trace minerals which are high in the cryoplankton, like iodine, zinc, and manganese. And you have the benefits, of course. You don't need to enrich this. It's natural and ready to use. Very high biosecurity. It's not intensively produced. So in an intense culture like the rotifers, it's natural that you get fast-growing bacteria, often pathogenic also. And the gut histology, we see it on different species, and Katarina will talk more about that. So bioavailability is everything here, we think. And yeah, gut data confirms it. So we think that this is very beneficial compared to rotifers and Artemia. So that's the message for me. So thank you for the attention.
Πολύ καλά. Καταρχήν να σας ευχαριστήσω όλους που βρίσκεστε εδώ. Με μεγάλη χαρά που θα παρουσιάσω μια φορά στην Ελλάδα, η δεύτερη βασικά. Η παρουσίαση θα είναι στα αγγλικά για σεβασμό προς στο management της Planktonic που κατάφερε να έρθει μαζί μας εδώ πέρα. So, my name is Konstantinos Tsakris. I work as the technical manager for Planktonic, taking care of the most trials and applications of cryoplankton throughout the world. Today I will present cryoplankton in action at a global scale. As a technical department, I have categorized in three major sections what we do, the technical part of Planktonic. We have the new applications and new species. Up to today, we have fed successfully to 26 marine fish species with cryo. We have the improvement of current applications by optimizing the protocols and maximizing the efficiency of the feeding in existing applications and customers. And finally, we have the research projects that are helping us gain knowledge and acquire significant insights for cryoplankton use. All these projects in the last 3 years, they are more than 60, enable us to have knowledge on fish rearing setups, production that is useful for our partners throughout the globe. So, Nils's presentation included everything. What was missing was in Antonio's presentation. I will try to make a mix from the technical perspective. We know that barnacles are everywhere. Here we see a diver posing in a kelp forest with a natural reserve of barnacles on a rock just above this kelp forest. We have our own farms. They are 7 farms, more licenses along the Norwegian coast. We collect the barnacles. We have patented processes producing cryoplankton, which is this one. This one are the revitalized Nafpli. A video came to me by a partner of ours with supporting him in distance. He made it by himself. A good job. So we have many applications. We use the feed, Cryo-S and Cryo-L, specific species of barnacles, to feed several species throughout the globe where the need arises. We have successful projects here in Kinke radiata in Japan. We have here you see also the respective photos with cryoplankton in the gut. These results come from Kinke radiata, a Seriola species. Very important results and exciting. We increased the survival rate up to we doubled it basically, and this result was not only by in the hatchery department. We see here that the biomass production exceeded the narrow hatchery period. Similar results we have gained with olive flounder in Korea. We have Atlantic cod, as Niels mentioned, in Norway, currently only in Norway. We have some cobia applications. It is a very common species in South America and South Asia. We have the Sobeti. It is quite common in Middle East. Okay, all these exotic species, quite nice and interesting, but we need to focus and pay attention to our fish from our region. This is sea bream and sea bass. Here I have an example from Turkey. This is a typical result from a sea bream application. We have a first sampling after weaning. We see a weight difference of 24%, which is constant the second sampling a few weeks later at measured, calculated around 18%. The survival is increased by 31%. This is also quite typical. How we do it? We have two approaches for sea bream, a mild one and the intense approach. The difference between them is the inclusion rate of cryoplankton. That means how much cryoplankton we use, and the replacement ratio, how much traditional feeds we are replacing. The mild approach can replace, usually replaces up to 40% of rotifers, all small Artemia, and quite some quantity of enriched Artemia by transitioning to Cryo-S from to day 7 and to Cryo-L from day 12. In addition to that, as a second step, or when there is the situation allows it, we can go to the intense approach, where rotifers can be replaced by up to 65% or 70%, and use quite intensively Cryo-S and Cryo-L from the same days as above. Artemia, small Artemias, AF and BF, are very easily replaced, and enriched Artemia can be replaced on demand. So, why to choose the one over the other, or what are the factors? Tank setup, the hatchery mandates in every case, because there is great variability between facilities, and applied SOPs, as is technology inclusion. If personnel is familiar with cleaning arms, with dosing pumps, or automatic feeders, live feed feeders, all these lead to select the optimum protocol and feeding method for each case separately. So, as a technical milestone for the bream, I can say that bream, we saw that rotifers, or we should consider that we in the past considered that rotifers are mandatory to produce the species. But using CryoMicro, which is the latest addition to the cryoplankton product range, we managed to produce the CryoBrim, bream that ate only cryoplankton. On the upper part, we can see a protocol, a typical one, what we have used in University of Patras in the wet lab, where we replicated this result several times, replacing rotifers completely and Artemia. And here we have the results of the total length. We see there is the two applications, two protocol, the cryo low and cryo high. There was a difference in densities of the feed. Produced fish with higher length, longer length, up to day 27. The survival was identical and slightly higher for the cryoplankton. And at the second chart here, we see that I have the same lines, that is the cryo low and cryo high, same color, but when the personnel and the system was familiarized and gained knowledge for better use, we managed to produce bigger fish with the same source of fish, of course, at the same system, which means that replication and getting used to it can produce a better result. So, producing bream with cryoplankton products is feasible. Other sea bream cases, I will mention the most important. We have documented an increase in survival up to 27.3 percentage points. That is an absolutely amazing result. We see here it is 71%. It's the same one from 38.7. We reached 65.8, and the very interesting result here is that all three test protocols, let's say the cryoplankton, which differed in the inclusion rate and the days of duration of the feeding, all three replicates had a significant, a highly significant difference with the control. And this is, I cannot say that this is luck because we used quadruplicates in this case. This was a very big project under the AquaXL3 platform. The growth rate, we have documented cases up to 50%, that is double the weight, basically, from 0.4 we went to 0.6, 0.06, not double, 50% increase. That is from a commercial bream facility in West Europe. We have documented better performance in the stress test. Here we see it's from the same AquaXL program. The red line depicts the mortalities of the control, and the other two are these two protocols here. So it is normal. We have documented several times a better swim bladder inflation rate that varies from 3% up to 10%. That means that water quality is improved, and probably this is the reason, and better bone development and organ development. And something that most of our partners mention is the better behavior of the larvae. Here in this video we see, I don't have the comparison unfortunately, but if you are familiar with bream larvae, you will understand that these fish are not concentrating or not schooling all together very close to each other, but they are rather better dispersed and calm in the water column. We'll move on to sea bass. We know there is a high overall production. We witness different setups, different methods. Some of them follow the complexity of the bream facilities and setups because, okay, bream facilities are complex. We should not confuse habits with real easiness, as is cryoplankton. Here we see some sea bass, with intact cryoplankton, recently fed with cryo, and bass produced in a commercial tank, in commercial setting, a very, very dense one. So, in our suggestion as Planktonic is to use a cryo-only protocol, no rotifers, no algae, and streamlined operation. Start with cryo-S, where in most cases we can start in cryo-L, but this is a more general one, and put some Artemia later on, if needed. But this one usually gives very good results. With this one, along with this protocol, we suggest a continuous feeding. That means to feed the cryoplankton with dosing pumps or supply prolonged meals that its duration they are longer than the traditional meals that are with beaker. That way we increase the barnacle per milliliter, the density of the feed in the water column, exploiting the day periods, and all this automation will allow to focus better on fish performance and pay attention to the nursery period, which is quite critical to maintain the good performance of the hatchery. So using a protocol like this, we achieve better growth, higher robustness, and lower deformities. Just to mention some cases, these results are from a 24 AquaXL 3 project, similar to the BREAM. The BREAM was performed in the HMR premises in Crete. This one was performed in Montpellier, in France. So we managed at 75 days post-hatch, just after the hatchery period, to have an increased length, standard length for both treatments we used, the cryo-Artemia and cryo-dry. The one used cryoplankton and few quantities of Artemia at the end, while the cryo-dry used only cryoplankton and dry feed. The length advancement was varied up to 15%, 14-15%. The average weight was 51 for the cryo-Artemia and 56% more for the cryo-dry, while the biomass reached almost 20% for the cryo-Artemia. All this was just after the hatchery phase. Later on, we managed to measure the deformities. We used mammographies for this process. Here, these are the same results. The total malformation reached 30% for the control, while for the other two, it was 18 and almost 20. That is a great difference. That makes a difference in total available fish to sale. And the categories of deformation are here, depicted here in the chart above the bar chart. We see that the major deformity in the case was the single and double operculum that was present in high percentage in the control, up to 12%, but it was absent for the two cryo protocols we tested. Also, we had the difference in the mouth deformity, which was 2% for the control using Artemia, small and enriched, while it was this deformity type was absent for the cryo-Artemian for the cryo protocol. I will move on to another species, the Pagus case. Yeah, it is easy to understand that this is Pagus because it is red. Nice one. We have developed a protocol for this species. It is similar to bream. This species grows very fast. It can accept cryo-S at the same age, around 7 days post-hatch, but the quantities are very, very increased. Here I can say that the one trial that we have very a complete control, let's say, to the application, revealed that the higher replacement of rotifers at the very first days had a better result in the gut fullness. That means that these Pagus from these two trials that were duplicates had a better, let's say, they selected cryoplankton more intensely, actively, compared to the control. And that is the reason we see here that these yellow bars depict the percentage of the very full gut content. That means that these fish were very, very full. While here, the yellow one is not very high. The one was with, this is with low replacement, a lot of rotifers in the tank and a few cryo, and the other one is higher replacement, that means more cryo and less rotifers. That is similar to the results we saw for the bream. The more cryo you give, you achieve a better result. And finally, because these fish needed to be mixed, we had a difference in a swim bladder that reached up to 9%. Swim bladder is correlated with the cleanness of the surface, so we understand that rotifer in this case messed up and affected this process. We have again a better growth up to the mixing of the tanks and better behavior of the larvae. I will have a slide here for Migra. It's a new addition to our interest, and I'm very happy to say that we have a project next week, starting next week in the Atlantic. This is in the Canary Islands. We expect these results to be published in 2026. We have tested Migra. This species, you know, eat a lot, eat almost everything. The gut fullness was 100%, although it's quite sensitive on the changes of the feed. And we recorded a size difference of 7.7% already from 9 days post-hatch. I will say some few things about amberjack. We have worked with 4 species. I can say that cryoplankton is the standard, is implemented in the standard protocol of professional producers, that they are focused on this species. Of course, we have other tests, not only in the narrow borders of European Union, because we have very good results with Kinke radiata in Japan. Using cryoplankton, we have increased growth, lower deformities, and streamlined operations that allow focus on the fish production. Okay, for the hatcheries, Niels managed to mention some things for the long-term effects. That is the most significant from a biological, because it is not well studied, how it is achieved, but also from a financial point of view, because it produces the maximum profit. The average weight in on-growing, in the case of this test in AquaXL 3 in BREEAM reached 17.7%, and subsequent reduction of commercial FCR to almost 7%. That creates a huge benefit, as Antonio showed in his presentation, and the same result is quite well documented in another scientific setup in IFREMER that we recorded 12% and 8% higher growth rate after a year. That is a statistical difference, as we can see here. And these are not only the two evidence we have, but it is also goes along with observation from our partners with other species in other industries. So, concluding, I can say that using the use of cryoplankton can produce larger and better fish with better shape. The size difference achieved in the hatchery, it remains throughout the rearing stages, and we have indications of, basically we proved, it's not only an indication, that the larvae diet affects the later stages, and they have long-lasting effects. And all this leads to benefits for every producer, both from a biological point of view, which can be translated to financial benefits. That is all for me. Thank you.
Περίμενε να το βάλω. Εδώ είμαι.
Ναι.
Πού είμαι? Αυτό. Το καλύτερο.
Δεν μπερδεύεσαι.
Πολύ ωραίος είσαι.
Ναι, σε ευχαριστώ.
Ωραία, και θα σας βοηθήσω.
Λοιπόν, πώς θα το κάνεις από εδώ?
Τι κάνω?
Ή αυτό ή τη ροβέλα?
Αυτό πάει.
Πάει αυτό.
Εντάξει, ωραία, τα κατάλαβα. Hello. My name is Katerina Lufi, and today I want to talk to you about how the quality of the alive food can affect the ontogeny of the digestive system and the ontogeny of the skeleton. The larval rearing has three phases. The first is the autotrophic phase, in which the fish are feeding through the yolk sac. The second phase is the live food phase, in which we have the beginning of the exogenous feeding. And finally, we have the weaning phase, in which our fish are transitioning from the live food to the formulated diets. Live food is a primary food source during larval rearing because the digestive system of the newly hatched larvae in the majority of the species is unable to process formulated diets. In addition, live organisms are always accessible to the fish, while the pellets of the formulated diets tend to sink to the bottom of the tanks. Live food are very, very important for the growth and development of the fish, and their movement triggers the feeding reactions of the fish, which are visual feeders. Now, let's see some characteristics regarding the most famous live food options we have, rotifers and artemia. First of all, the rotifers have appropriate body size for the fish larvae, and they have high population growth rate, and they are very tolerant to culture conditions. Unfortunately, they are very poor in highly unsaturated fatty acid, so we need to enrich them. They have high organic load, and they can get pathogenic bacteria, viruses, and fungi that can cause mass mortalities. They can also be vectors of fish pathogens. Both Artemia naupli and Artemia metanaupli have appropriate body size for a little bit older fish larvae, and they have the unique ability to form dormant cysts that can be easily transported and storage. They are very resistant to environmental conditions, and they can stay viable for many years. The cost of purchase is very high, and similar to rotifers, they are very poor in highly unsaturated fatty acids. An alternative live food for fish larvae are barnacle naupli. Barnacle naupli have appropriate body size for fish larvae. Unlike rotifers and Artemia, they are actually part of the natural diet of marine fish larvae, and they have higher nutritional value than enriched rotifers and enriched Artemia. So we don't need to enrich them. They are very abundant in highly unsaturated fatty acids inside the phospholipids. And when the fatty acids are inside the phospholipids, they are more available and digestible by the fish. They are also very abundant in free amino acids that can improve the growth and autogeny of the fish larvae. And especially compared to rotifers, they have lower bacterial load. When we study the ontogeny of a species, we can understand the natural requirements for its developmental stage, we can do a better quality control, and we can assess the breeding conditions. More specifically about the ontogeny of the digestive system, a very important organ is the buccopharynx. And when in this organ we have the appearance of the pharyngeal teeth, then we know that we can introduce harder feeds. Moving on to the esophagus, when the esophagus expands through its folds, we know that our fish can consume higher quantities of feeds. When the stomach gets this Y shape, and when we have the appearance of gastric glands that produce hydrochloric acid, we know that now we can introduce harder and less digestible feeds. About the intestine now, when we have the appearance of the goblet cells that produce mucus, we know that we have a lubrication of the intestinal tract, the mucus facilitates digestion, and we have also enhancement of the immune system. While when we have the appearance of the pyloric ceca, our fish have larger digestion surface. And finally, we have the liver and the pancreas. Both of them produce digestive enzymes, and the liver can act also... I don't know what I have to do. Δεν ξέρω τι να κάνω. Να πατήσω αυτό? Όχι. Περιμένε, θα το φτιάξω. Δεν το ξέρω τι να το κάνω. Άμα βλέπετε, εγώ συνεχίζω. Ωραία. Τι να κάνω, να τα ζωγραφίσω. Πάλι καλά που δεν ήμουν αγχωμένη πριν. Στις ερωτήσεις ελπίζω να πάει. Αυτό είναι το άγχος του τερματοφύλακα πριν από το πέναλτι. Θα χάσω τον ήρμό μου. Θα το πάρω από λίγο πιο μπροστά, δεν πειράζει. Σαμποτάζ. Ο Κώστας. So, I don't remember where I stopped. So I will say in general about the intestine. When we have the appearance of the goblet cells, we know that mucus is excreted. So we have lubrication of the intestinal tract. The mucus facilitates digestion, and we have also enhancement of the immune system. And when the pyloric cica appears, our fish have large digestion surface. And finally, we have the liver and pancreas. Both of them produce digestive enzymes, while liver also acts as an energy storage through the lipid vacuoles. Moving on to the ontogeny of the skeleton, in the majority of the species, at the beginning we only have the notochord. Then we have the first structures in the vertebral column and the caudal fin, and the appearance of these structures and the calcification process continues until we have completion of skeletal ontogenesis. Deformities. We have 7 groups. The deformities can be divided into these groups according to the fish area, to the area of the fish body in which they occur. We can have deformities in the shape of the body, the skin pigmentation, scales, swim bladder, skull, fins, and vertebral column. While the factors that can cause skeletal deformities can be either genetic or epigenetic. Let's see what will happen if we introduce barnacle naupli to our fish larvae. In a trial of Seabrim, we saw that the barnacle-fed fish had improved ontogeny of the digestive system. More specifically, the fish that ate also the barnacle naupli had higher length and surface of the villi in the anterior intestine. They had more abundant goblet cells and higher area covered with lipid vacuoles in the liver. Exactly the same pattern was observed also in an Atlantic cod trial, with the barnacle-fed fish to have more improved ontogeny of their digestive system. If we go back to the SeaBream trial, we saw that the barnacle-fed fish had higher percentages of successfully inflated swim bladder compared to the control fish, compared to the fish that ate only rotifers and artemia. Can this be a result of the diet? Of course. Because, well, as I said earlier, the barnacles don't need enrichment, so they don't burden the surface of the tanks with extra fat, which means that we have a better and uninterrupted filling of the swim bladder. Moving on to skeletal deformities, in both SeaBream and Seabass, we saw that the barnacle-fed fish had significantly less deformities than the fish from the control group. While in the case of the Atlantic cod, the fish from the control group, the fish with scoliosis from the control group, had almost 10 times more than the fish from the barnacle group. In the Seabass trial, we saw from the beginning of the trial the saddleback syndrome. I want to mention now that we saw this syndrome in all our fish, from both the control and the barnacle group. When our fish have this syndrome, it means that we have a partial or complete absence of the dorsal fin, complete absence of the pelvic fins. It is very common to have problems with the calcification process. Very often we have less number of spines, especially in the caudal fin. We have problems with the inflation of the swim bladder, and also very, very often we have additional deformities in the vertebral column. What we saw, however, is that the fish from the barnacle group had significantly less deformities in the vertebral column than the fish from the control group. So, we know that 99% sure that this saddleback syndrome in this case happened either because of environmental condition, for example, something with the water or the water temperature, or genetic factors. We know for sure that the introduction of the barnacle naupli improved the situation. What we don't know is if the use of barnacles helped the prevention of appearance of skeletal deformities or the restoration of already appeared deformities. Two recent studies show that if we use more favorable environmental conditions, for example, more favorable density of the fish in our tank, or more favorable diet to our fish, we are able not only to prevent the appearance of deformities, but also to restore deformities that have already appeared. How can we know for sure if we are talking about prevention or restoration? First of all, we need to perform an initial sampling during the first days of the larval rearing in order to see if we have any deformities that pre-exist in the notochord. Secondly, based on the species we are working with, we need to perform an additional sampling, a second sampling, around 20 to 40 days later, and compare the results of the two samplings. And of course, we can use RNA sequencing in order to study the genes that are responsible for the productions of proteins and enzymes related to the ontogeny of the skeleton, the calcification process, and the appearance of skeletal deformities. So to summarize, we saw that the use of barnacles naupli during the first days of larval rearing improved the ontogeny of the digestive system. This practically means that the barnacle-fed fish had higher length and surface of the villi, more abundant goblet cells, and higher percentages of fat accumulation in the liver. This means for our fish that the barnacle-fed fish had higher area for digesting the food and absorbing the nutrients, amplification of the immune system through the mucus produced by the more abundant goblet cells, and extra energy through the lipid vacuoles in the liver of the barnacle-fed fish. Why? The answer is in the nutritional profile of the barnacle naupli. As I said in the beginning, the nutritional profile of the barnacle are higher than the nutritional profile of enriched rotifers and artemia. And the main is in the fatty acids and in the micronutrients. The fatty acids are easily absorbed when they are inside the phospholipids rather than enrichment products. They enhance the activity of the digestive enzymes. They can increase the area covered with lipid vacuoles in the liver. They promote faster skeletal ontogeny, and even reduce the number of deformities. While the micronutrients, not only they are very abundant in the barnacle naupli, but they are beneficial for the ontogeny of the digestive system and especially the proliferation of goblet cells, and they are also very beneficial for the ontogeny of the skeleton. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Very nice presentations, including mine, I hope. We try to accumulate material, simple, tangible material, talking to producers, talking to scientists, to show you what we see also in other parts of the planet, in other species, but more specifically on sea bass and sea bream. This is a species mainly produced here, including red sea bream, including mingur, of course, very important species. Seriola, we informed you that we are the standard protocol when we talk about Seriola. And we wanted to show you with real data, with figures, what is the potential based on our solution. Planktonic clearly is in this sector to prevail, to change the way work will be done in the hatcheries. This has already started in different markets, in different species, including bass and bream, and is moving fast. With honesty, with support, with consistency, and we will be here to help each one of the producers, each one of the scientists. The scientists are a very important part of this society, of this story, of our story. We do believe that it should be stimulated by the science, by the academia, including the very experienced technical people from the sector. Now, the target is that we show you the potential. The target is to replicate these figures in the industry, in an industry that is very competitive. And the companies, the Greek companies, in plurality here, but not only Greek, need to become better, need to evolve, to be stronger for today, but also for the next crisis, perhaps, that will come. As I say, a lot of information, scientific, practical, try to pass to you as much as we could to help you to appreciate what we provide, so we can start working more closely together with the ones that we have not started yet. Maybe you have some comments, some questions that we would be very happy to answer. That is good. That shows that they were all very good presentations and very well explained. Please.
As I understand, CryoL is your main product.
CryoL is the product that has been developed for most of the years, for the longer time. So today we are proud to say that we feel, Niels, that is perfect, absolutely perfect. CryoS is also an excellent product now. I mean, it has been quite a few years. So CryoMicro is a bit younger. But so one aspect is how developed the products are, and now all these three products that we presented are commercially available, so they are developed. But CryoL indeed is the most tested product. This is one aspect. The other aspect is CryoL used for the longer period during the protocol. We have customers that do not use any Artemia, not for bass and bream, but it can, of course, we have done excellent trials for bass and bream, and they use Cryo-L from day, I don't know, depending on the species, say day 9 or 10 or 12, up to day 35. So indeed for us is the biggest revenue source.
Which fish species, you think is more where Cryo-L has really worked? What is your...
Sea bass definitely. Meager, we see that we can have a very straightforward protocol, very simple, very efficient. And Seriola, of course. Seriola is, as we discussed, is impressive, and it's very important to say that talking about Seriola today in Europe, we have some very impressive investments, business investments. Millions have been invested in these companies. High-tech, recirculation systems, land-based facilities. The businessmen, the investors put a lot of money. Well, these facilities, they operate exclusively with our product. To me, this shows a lot. This is Seriola Lalandi. These are two very large investments that I don't want to mention the names, but you know, in Europe. But we also supply a very important, a key supplier of Dumerilli in Europe. They are upscaling continuously with the cryoplankton, so we're getting more and more in their protocol, but they're using it in their standard protocol now. Rivoliana also, and Kingwa radiata, as Kostas mentioned, in Japan. So it is clear that all Seriola species are well benefited with, and this is what I mentioned also, that especially for new species, I don't know how new now Seriola is, our solution is more straightforward. There is no tradition. We are now the standard protocol. For the reasons that you saw and supported by science and evidence. Thank you. Please, Kantham.
How do you maintain the consistency of the quality of Nuclei in your production systems?
Very good question, and I would like Niels to help me on this. I don't know, do we have a microphone that I can share? Oh, yeah.
So the question was, how do we maintain the quality of cryoplankton?
The consistency.
The consistency.
All those things you mentioned, how do you maintain the balance and how do you assess it when you provide a product to us?
Yeah, no, we have been analyzing samples over the seasons and over several years, and we see that the deviation is minimal. And we see that the crustacean nuclei, the further eggs and the first nuclei, they are quite constant. So it's like that for crustacean species. If they have less resources, they produce less eggs. And if they have high resources, they produce a lot of eggs. We see that in the barnacles, for instance. But the quality is the same, but they give fewer offspring if the nutrients, if they are less well-fed. We are harvesting in a period where you don't have any algae production in the sea. So there is almost no production of algae in the ocean. In January, February, March, when we harvest, so they are less influenced, the adult animals. They are dependent on what they ate in the autumn, what they produce during season when we harvest. Because the spring bloom in Norway takes part in April about, and then the animals are not so influenced by that. So we don't have any influence of algae, you could say, in that period. But as I said, it seems that like the stoichiometry of the offspring are quite stable. but they produce less and more dependent on the lipid reserves of the adult animals. And we have analyzed between years also, and start of season, mid-season, end season. So we have done quite a lot of that, those studies.
So still it is a natural harvest of the nuclei. You don't have any indoor systems?
No, we don't have any indoor system. This is an extensive production, like you are producing blue mussels. You are offering a substrate for the barnacles so they can grow on. So then they attack to the substrate. And then we could, we can monitor which species we can produce, because one is a subtidal species and the other is an intertidal species. So it's an extensive production system, so we don't have any chance to monitor how they are fed.
I wanted to know if in the large fish, once the larvae have been fed on the water, if you've looked at the health of the large fish through challenges with the pathogens, and if their immune system was better, functional immune system, not the expression.
Yeah, we have not done any challenge tests with pathogens, but we have stress tests. We have several of those. So they are showing the same pattern, that larvae that have been feeding cryoplankton, they are generally more robust. And we have the study also from Institute of Marine Research in Norway, ETIO, which I showed you from 23. So they showed actually that the immune system was earlier developed, and when it was developed, it was stronger also than the control fish. So it seems like there is a general trend on the immune system and the robustness.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we would like to thank you. It was a great opportunity to see you all here and be able to inform you about Planktonic and what we do. And I'm sure that we will be in close contact and think of how we can take these discussions and these nice thoughts further all together. Thank you very much.